Hi, I'm Milo, and this is my vintage hi-fi setup. I've been collecting over the past few years, and I think I'm finally ready to show off what it looks like to everyone. This is my Fluence RT81. I've had it for a few years now, and I'm really happy with it. It's not automatic, but I'm actually fine with that. The cartridge it comes with is a nice Audio-Technica cartridge. Here's a sample of audio from it. Now, there's not really a whole lot to say about it. I mean, it's a turntable. They're all kind of similar, and at the end of the day, as long as it plays records, that's really the most important part. I think the more interesting piece of my hi-fi setup is right underneath it, my cassette deck. This is my cassette deck. It's a JVC KD-V6 from around the mid to late 1980s. I think the most important feature about this is that it's a 3-head cassette deck. Now, if you don't know what a 3-head cassette deck is, that basically means that instead of just one head, a playback head, which pulls double duty as the record head, it actually splits playback and record into 2 different heads, which allows it to get a better quality sound out of the cassette. Now I'll go over some of the features of this cassette deck from left to right. So this is a pretty typical feature set for a mid to late 80s cassette deck. Power button, obviously, and then a self-timer feature where if you leave it in record and then plug it in or power it on, it'll start recording automatically or it'll start playing automatically. I just leave it in off because I never use that. Underneath it we've got a headphone jack with an adjustable level output. This also adjusts the level for the line out on the back. Then we have an input balance, left and right. Not a real fan of it being this little teeny tiny knob, but you know, take what you can get. Then we got this giant honkin' input level slider, which you can see messing with the loudness of what's being recorded right now. Multiplexing filter, which cuts out the 19 kilohertz FM multiplexing signal. Then we got Dolby, on or off, B or C, no S on this machine. Then you've got your monitor switch, so you can choose to listen to either the tape or just the line input, and that's what the benefit of having 3 heads is, because you can monitor what it sounds like on the tape as you're recording it. Then it's got this really cool feature where it has a digital peak meter, and then you can recall the loudest it's seen. So I recall it, and it looks like the loudest it saw was 8 decibels. And if you press it again, that clears it. So 3 decibels. Moving over here, we've got the counter controls. So it's a digital counter. You can reset it, obviously. Makes sense. It's also got a stopwatch built in. So 3 minutes and 19 seconds, 3 minutes 20 seconds, you can reset that too. And it's got a memory, so if you turn it on and turn the auto repeat on, I believe what this does is you can have it playing, and then if you rewind, it'll stop at 0, start playing, and then once it hits the memory, I believe it will repeat. And that's all it has on this side, and we'll move over to the other side. Again, pretty typical features for a mid to late 80s cassette deck. Play, pause, record, mute, record, stop, eject, rewind, fast forward, index scan, music scan forward and backward, and then a remote input. In order to record, you have to hit record pause, or alternatively you can hit record play, but I prefer to do record pause, get your input levels right, and then just hit play. When the track is over, you can hit record mute, it'll mute the recording, and then after a few seconds it'll stop. And that gives it time for the music scan to actually find that. So if I were to go ahead and start recording now, of course we're in between tracks, so it'll be a very poor demonstration, but I can load in a different cassette and show that out to you. While this is rewinding, I'll go over a feature that you may or may not have missed earlier. If you're into high-end cassette decks, you might have noticed that there is no bias or tape level adjustment on this deck. And that's really, I think, one of the biggest shortcomings of this deck. It'd be great to be able to adjust the bias or have an automated thing that does it, but as it is from the factory, it's preset and you can't calibrate it. Right now in it, I've got a TDK MA60 tape, which is supposedly pre-calibrated from the factory to work with this, but it would have just been really a lot nicer if they had maybe given us a knob right over here or somewhere over here to allow us to adjust that. But anyway, Now I will demonstrate the music scan feature. It's pretty standard. Right now it's playing, and then if I want to jump to the next track, I press that. If you notice, the lights are blinking twice as it fast forwards. And it keeps the heads engaged on the tape so it can hear the audio and look for that gap that I mentioned with the record mute feature. Once it finds it here in a little bit, might take a little bit. Alright, so it found the track and now it's playing the next one. Pretty standard stuff, and obviously if I hit it again, it'll go forward, or if I hit the backwards button, it'll go backwards. Well, that's been all for this video. I mainly made this video just to prove to myself that I could actually make YouTube content that I think is interesting and engaging. I'm sorry there's not many details on this stuff, as I didn't have a script for this video and I'm just winging it as I'm telling you this. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe, as they say. Stay chillin'. I haven't really thought of an outro for this video, so this is what you're gonna get.